Hi y'all, welcome to Coffee Tea Wednesday. Okay, so I got my coffee. I got my stuff set up. Y'all can't see it right here, but I got my little stuff set all up. And today we're gonna be talking about um, grief and and a loss of a parent. I hope I'm talking loud enough because I got my fan on. But got my pad too. It's some stuff right now. But so we're going to be talking today about grief and the loss of a parent for a child. So I'm gonna get into this topic, and it's really hard, and I really never discuss it or get into it or talk about it much because it's always hard for me. So he was actually a very good father. He had 7 kids, and he was a good father to all of them. He was a good person. He was a retired judo fighter. He was from Nigeria, and he came to America. He came here. He did some fights here in America. So he ended up making here his home. Um, so we're gonna start off with the day. Um, it was a really off day. Just from the start, it was off. It was like because usually he wake me up. I hate being woken up. Like if it's not an emergency, don't wake me up. Leave me alone, okay? If I'm getting some sleep, let me sleep. It's already enough with my 5-year-old. Don't wake me. I like my sleep, okay? Once I'm sleeping, let me sleep because I'm a night owl. I stay up at night, doing whatever I need to do for the next day. So leave me alone. But anyway, hold on, my camera seems like it's a little tilted. But okay, but this day was kind of off because, like I said, he always wake me up. And when I got up and I noticed he didn't wake me up, I'm like, okay, that's weird, but I got some sleep. So me and my little guy at the time, he was 3. He had just turned 3 that May, and we got up, put our clothes on. It was so hot outside because we talking about this is July, and it was so hot. We got dressed and everything. So I took him outside, and then he called me and he called me at 2:30 exactly. He called and he said, "You still taking the van to go get the oil change?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, I'll be there so I can take it." Because you know how guys is. They swear they know every good place and every good person that know how to do stuff. So I don't even argue no more. I just like, okay, that's fine, you know. So I told him, I said, "We'll be outside." And then he asked me how Osa doing. I said he doing good because he had gave me some African rub to put on Osa's chest because Osa seemed congested. So he went to the African store to go get some African rub. And so I rubbed Osa down with it, and it worked really well. So I told him, I said, "Oh, it worked good." I said, "He not congested no more or anything like that." I said, "It really did work." He said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Good." He said, "Well, I'm about to be pulling up in about 5 minutes." So I said, "Okay." I said, "We'll be outside. We waiting." He said, "Okay." So I hung up. I told Osa, I said, "Your daddy on the way." He said, "My daddy?" I said, "Yeah." So he started looking at the corner that he always come around. So he was standing there looking and playing. So about 30 minutes, I'm like, Okay, he said 5 minutes. Usually, if he call and say that he almost somewhere, that means he already there. Okay, that means he just turning to the last corner. He don't do you when somebody call and be like, "I'll be there in 15 minutes," and it take them 3 hours to come. No, if he say he coming, he already turning the last corner to get to wherever you at. So when I noticed that I didn't see him, I'm like, okay, that's weird. So then we were approaching now like 3:40, and I'm like, okay, the oil place gonna close soon. So I'm like, I would just take it up there myself to go get the oil change. So I put Osa in there. My mama came and everything. My daughter. So I went up to the oil place. I got the oil change, and I came back to the house and I parked in front of the house. So I said, well, let me call him because that's weird. So I called him, no answer. So I went on WhatsApp to send him a message because no matter the time of the day, if I send a message, he's going to open it up and look. He didn't care too much about typing or text messaging. He either say, okay, call, or something like that. He wasn't big on doing all that text messaging. So when I noticed he didn't open it, I'm like, okay, this is really weird. So my baby come now, he like, I'm hungry, mama. I said, okay. So I load him back up again. My mama's still in the van. I go up to McDonald's by my house. And I'm sitting in the line at McDonald's. And it was so weird because I'm sitting there and it's burning hot outside now, y'all. It's hot. My AC acting crazy. I'm hot. So I get a real bad cold chill over me. Like into where I had goosebumps all over my arms and everything. My mama looked at me and she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Look at my arm. I got cold chills all over me." And she said, like that. I said, something not right. And she said, "Why? Why are you saying that?" I said, something not right. I said, it's something not right. And I started panicking. So I get there, I get up to the window, I order his Happy Meal, and we get the food. I go back home, I back into the driveway, and then my phone about to die. So I'm like, let me go put my phone on charge. I'm like, just in case if he called or something, so it can be charged, and I did. So I run in the house, I put my phone on charge. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, something just not right. I'm like, I called him again when I went in the house. I said, he not answering. I said, I looked on WhatsApp. He not looking at the messages. I said, I don't know what's going on, but something not right. So my mama said, well, go to his house then to go see, is everything okay with him? I said, when my sister pulled up, I'm like, okay, because we was going out to eat. All of us was, after my sister came, we was going to go to, I can't remember the names, but we was going to go out to eat. So my sister was going to be pulling up in about 30 minutes. So I'm like, we'll wait on her to pull up, and then we'll all ride over there and make sure he okay or whatever, and then we'll go out to eat. So I said, let me go get my phone because it should be charged up enough because it was about 15 minutes. I'm like, because I'm over this and I'm like, something not right. I need to go get my phone. So I'm getting out and I make it almost to the steps before my daughter come running out of the house. And I hear his other daughter on the line with my daughter on the phone, and she's saying, tell me it's not true, my daddy not dead. When I hear those words, I instantly felt it already that something wasn't right. So I went back in the house and to get my phone because I'm like, he must have had a car accident. He got to be in the hospital. He got to be in the hospital. But I wasn't thinking he was dead. I'm like, his daughter just here. He was in a car accident or something. And she worried. So let me go get my phone. I'm running in the house to go get my phone. My daughter panicking. And by the time I make it to my phone, his son was calling me. And he was like, Taisha, where you at? Where you at? He was like, we've been calling. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And he like, my daddy is dead. So instantly, my heart stopped. Everything in my body shut down to where I hit the floor. Like I had no control over myself no more. Like my whole body had just stopped. My little guy is upstairs. He probably heard the ice cream truck or something. Um, but my whole body it stopped. I didn't have no control over my body. I fell and hit the floor. I couldn't breathe. I was trying to breathe. My daddy jumped up and he was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Because he didn't even know. I'm trying to get the words out my mouth. All I can say is he gone, he gone. And my daddy like, "Who gone and what's going on?" I couldn't even talk. My daughter come running. She yelling. She like, "Oh, he did, Papa." And my daddy like, "What is the heck is going on?" He didn't know what was going on. He lost. I couldn't even make it outside to even go tell my mama. I'm in there on the floor. I'm halfway breathing, and it hurted so bad to get that phone call. By the time we had all understood that what had happened, I made it to the door to get outside because Osa was still outside, not knowing what's going on. He playing with the neighbor kid down the street, so he don't know what's going on. And I'm just out of it. I don't know what to say. My mouth not moving. I was stuck. My daddy go and check on Osa and give him a hug without even, without telling him what's going on yet. He come back, my sister pull up and she see that we out of it. And she see it when she pulling up to where she jumped out and she thought that maybe it was her dog that had got hit by a car or something because her dog runs out the house and stuff like that. So she thought it was her dog. And I couldn't even tell her. I couldn't even move. So my daughter told her that we don't know what happened, but that he was gone. His family wanted me to come over to the house so they can explain what happened and everything. So everybody got in my car and my sister. No, I got in my sister's car. We all packed up in my sister's car and we went over there to his daughter's house. And there she told us um, that he was at a red light and he was at a red light and some teenagers was running from the police and they was going 100 miles an hour. When the light turned green, he proceeded to go across the light and they was coming and blew the red light and hit his side of his van and killed him. Um, he died on the way to the hospital. And when I heard instantly, all I could think about was he in pain? Did he know that what was going on? Did he know that he was leaving this earth? That's all that I can think about. And then I heard that he died like moments after it happened because he busted his head, and so he wasn't probably conscious of what was going on. So because I didn't want him to suffer, he wasn't the type of person that needed to suffer to leave this earth. So I was really worried, like, did he just go without knowing? He didn't see the car coming or anything. And what makes it bad is that the police said that if he was going a little faster, he could have made it across the light. And my thing is that that's not something you can say. You should have been telling the people that was running that they should have never been running. He didn't ever drive fast. He was probably the slowest driver in Michigan or around this world, period. He probably was the slowest driver. Okay? He didn't care about speeding up or anything. The freeway, you can go 70. He probably went 60, if 60. He didn't he didn't do all of that. He was a good citizen, a good person. And so that's why it's so important to teach your kids things. Doing things like that, taking innocent people's lives, it always leaves avoiding other people's lives. He have kids. He have a family that love him, and he was taken the wrong way. He have a now 5-year old that still remember him and still look for him and still want him and don't understand really what happened. I really didn't tell my son the story until.
Hi guys, I'm back with Also Life and Tay Life.
Okay, y'all, I'm gonna answer some questions in the meantime, and then I'm gonna get back to the story. I'm sorry, but I have to calm down a little bit before I get back into the story. So, um, cooking with Net TV asked me, how has becoming a mother changed your life? Being a mom is one thing that is absolutely the best part of me, is being a mother. Without my kids, I have no idea where I would be at or what would be doing or anything. My kids is everything to me. Like, just they love and affection that they give me is everything. Even with my son being in Tennessee, he send me little texts, and it just beats the world. My daughter, she has um what did you call it on the phone? Share location. So she knows where I'm at all the time. Even when she in school, she will check to see, did I leave the house, where I'm at. If I left while she sleep, she looks for me, and she's 16 years old. She That's my girl. My baby. He will. My little guy will always look for me. He always makes sure that I'm going to be there with him wherever he going. He talks to me like he every bit of 30. Like, being a mother is absolutely the best. It changed my life for the better. It changed my life, and definitely for good. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little more. Then I have another question, two more questions somebody asked me. Okay, um, so I stayed at his daughter's house for some weeks because they do different things for preparing for a funeral and everything. So I stayed there for some weeks with them. The accident happened on a Friday, July the 31st, and the funeral wasn't around until August the 16th. So I stayed there with everything. Um, During that time, you had to wear all black every day. So I had to go pick up a lot of black stuff for me and the kids while we was there and everything. I didn't go to the viewing because it just wasn't for me. There was no way I can make it through that, so I didn't go. Um, okay, y'all. So just before the day before the funeral, I think everybody was in shock that it was actually the next day. I don't think nobody was prepared to go or prepare for the service. But I did have one person that was absolutely the best. She was also going through um, grief. She had lost her child. Her child had depression, and she had lost her child during that time. But she reached out to me almost every day. She was my daughter's first grade teacher, and we always stayed in contact. And so we just always connected. And so she contacted me, and she just letting me know, like, be careful with Osa. She was like, because when she was 3, her father had passed away. She said she was just with him. And she said then when she asked why he didn't come home that night, she said that she wasn't getting no answers. She said then she just popped up and they walked her to the front of the church, and she saw her daddy laying there. And she said that was the most traumatic experience that she had to go through. And she said, and yet and still nobody still talked to her about what had happened. But she had talked to me about that, and then she had said that she mailed me a book about grief, and it was a dinosaur. Oh, I can't remember the name right now, but she sent the book and she asked me to read it to him and just ease him into the what's going on and how it's going to be. And so I really did appreciate her for that, because like I said, she was already going through a painful grieving process herself, and for her to reach out, it was everything. And um and so I didn't explain anything to Osa right then and there. We went to the funeral, and that was the worst day possible besides the phone call. I was outside in my car because I couldn't figure out how to go in. I didn't know where I was going to go sit in or anything. I just knew that I didn't want to be there. And luckily, my daddy was by my side, and my auntie was there, and they stood outside with me, and they was just like, "If you don't want to go in, we don't have to. We can just sit here." And they were so supportive. We was just sitting there. My daughter and my mother and my sister and them had already went in and everything. I was not ready to go in there at all. My little guy had saw the obituary and saw his pictures on there, and so he thought that he was in there. And he said, "Let's go in there. My daddy in there." And he took off running towards the door. My auntie went after him, and I told my daddy, I said, "Okay, I think I can go in." He said, "You for sure?" I said, "Yes." So we went in. I sat at the first seat that was by the door because I knew I was not going to the front. I was not going nowhere near the casket. I was not doing it at all. I sat right in the first seat by the door. I sat there, and they sat there with me. And I didn't hear much of anything that was going on there. My brain had already shut down again to where I didn't hear much of anything. I was in and out, in and out. When it came towards the end, well, while we were sitting there, my little guy was just asking like, "What's going on?" We, I still didn't say anything because I wasn't prepared to say it, but I wanted him to be a part of it, but I just wasn't prepared to say it. And how she said, "Get out." Go see your auntie. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna do the next question before I start talking again. So the next question from Jazz Fame. I think I'm saying it right. She asks, "My favorite food. My favorite food is soul food. I love all soul food besides pork because I don't eat pork. But I love all soul food. I love to have some chicken, yams, greens. I want the whole works. Like I want it all. I want meatloaf, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, gravy, biscuit. I want it all, and I want it to be all homemade. So I love soul food. My favorite hobby. Now, my favorite hobby is definitely knitting or crocheting. I made my daughter a full size blanket. I made my son. Well, I haven't got done with his yet. It's almost there. It's a king size blanket. And then I made my little guy a blanket while I was pregnant. So his was like big for like a crib. Um, so I love knitting and crocheting. And then she asked, what is something I dream of or a goal? My goal and my dream is to make it to Ghana in Africa. My best friend is there, and so I'm planning to go there to hang out with my best friend. So that's my goal and my dream. And then I have one more question, which I will answer in the middle of the next.